Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome. Mila Falche, agus Conastatu. Big Joe Shep here. It is another educationalising, crack-filled and banter-driven show from the three-bod rugby group tonight. It is the Keego and Big Joe show. He does have a real name, but we're not allowed to call him that. We just now refer to him as The Shape. He is part of the Party Tits. If you haven't seen that, go and look at the Party Tits. It's a stand-up comedy. Unbelievable. Here's the couch pundit himself. Keego, how are you, sir?
Good evening. You started off with some Irish, so all I can say is on Cadagum Dougherty on Letters. That's about as far as I can jump in. The 12 years of Irish education has left me with that one sentence. But all good here. We're out of level 5. Down in level 3, which I think is just holding hands now. I don't know. I think we're back to level 3 holding hands. How about yourself? How are you getting on? I haven't spoken to you in front of the world in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it has been a bit of a strange time, to be fair, mate. There's been lots of things going on, as you all know. Before I know you're going to sort of touch on the poll that we've been holding back on, so we're going to sort of share that in a minute, and you're going to talk through. But I wanted to. Tonight we are doing a number of quick things. First of all, we're partnering with the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, the UK branch, and the reason is because they're doing some phenomenal work around the globe with refugees. As somebody who has spent 30 years in the forces and have been around a number of places and seen the problems with refugees and the great work that the UN does. Then one of our guests tonight actually started as a fan in 5, but is now going to stay on the whole show. He's a huge rugby fan. Crazy man. He'd been watching too much Siren on the telly, and he's actually but anyway, we'll sort of bring him on to that in a minute. But he is raising a whole pile of money for the UNHCR, so that's why we've got James Overton on very shortly. And then we'll be having a quick look at the Tri-Nations, a couple of quick takeaways from not having the Springboks in there, Neil. Argentina doing really well. Where are the Wallabies? The All Blacks, ones who lost to, come back to that. And we'll have a quick look at the sort of any takeaways from the Autumn Nations Cup. Bit of Ferrari yesterday, and then we'll have a little sort of yourself and James will have a quick look at the EPCR Europeans. We'll explain to people how it's going to work. But to start with, the final yesterday between England and France. Congratulations to England. However, a bit of Ferrari. And most of Ferrari was about Andrew Brace, the referee. And not because he's an Irishman, but because he's a bloody referee. And he got a whole pile of abuse online, including his deceased father's obituary. I can only describe people, Neil, as scum. We have discussed this, what's happening in the online forums across the globe, in rugby forums and other forums, and just dog groomer, and it's happening there as well. People are just in meltdown. But to single out somebody who's a referee, doesn't matter whether he's made a mistake, in your opinion, but to see some of this stuff that is going on online now is just abysmal. It is disgusting. And we wonder why we don't have enough referees and officials to be able to do it. And the treatment that poor Andrew Brace got, who is a world-class referee. I don't give a monkey's toss what anybody's opinions are. If he got some things wrong yesterday, he got some things wrong. That's why actually, when you're on the other side of the scrum, you've got or the breakdown, you've got TMOs, and you've got TMO, and you've got touch judges as well, assistant referees, whatever. Absolutely disgraceful, the stuff that's been meted out to him of late. If you want to make a point to somebody, lads and girls, online, and you want to say the referee was not good in my opinion because he or she missed this, fine. Don't name them, don't tag them in, and don't ever bring one of their family into it, especially to put some abusive comments on his deceased father's obituary is just scum. That's all it is. And that leads on to one of the reasons why we're sort of doing some of the changes that we are. Keego, the poll, what are we doing in the future? Just to
absolutely. If I could just throw in 2 seconds on that, I won't take up too much time. You said it all. We've covered it over the last few shows, and it's been covered on various podcasts around the place. But if you at a player or an official because you're upset, you're a scumbag. That's it. Now, I understand lockdown hurts us all between the ears. It's not easy for anyone, but there is no excuse. You are basically shouting at a stranger in the street. And as a great, somebody who said it,
He's frozen on me. He's about to give us a total words of wisdom there. He's just frozen in perpetuity. But it's a great look, isn't it? Well, hopefully we'll get Keego back on. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to stick up. This is the poll that's going to go out tomorrow morning. Let me just share my screen. Is he back? Is he back? Is he back? Is it just the head? Is it the bobble? Can you hear me, mate? Are you back?
I can hear. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah. Okay.
Virgin Media is not going the full way for me today. So I don't know what you heard. It was very, very wise. We might put it behind a paywall. But no, I was just saying, don't app players, don't be scumbags. And Hogg's brother put something up saying, everyone who is abusing players, they're the first people to ask for autographs. So stop being scumbags. If you see this happening in any forums or whatever, report them, get them booted. We have to police this ourselves in the beginning. And then we'll roll on to the poll in a sec. But just if you see it, report it, kick them out. We've no place for that in our game.
Absolutely. You're probably wondering why I've got no Malbec tonight. Well, actually, I've got a nice cup of Chef's Blend. Go to coffeedog.ie. And there's still time before the 15th. I think Johnny said today that you can still go and get your Chef's Blend. And so coffeedog.ie, Chef's Blend. It is the blend that everybody wants to be buying. Apparently, at the moment, it is the bestseller. I'm sure. Why wouldn't you want to wake up with a bit of Chef first thing in the morning? There we go. Moving on quickly. Absolutely right. So, right, the poll. Loads of questions. We have covered a little bit on the last show, but we've been having lots of people saying, listen, can we come and join you on this new platform? How is it going to work? Blah, blah, blah. Keego, I'll just share the screen briefly. Yeah. Show as you talk through it, I'll show everybody what is going out tomorrow morning and the reason why we are doing it.
So it's leading on from the kind of the difficultness of internet and forums and things like that. Again, it's not the mods problem, but we're just trying to solve the problem. So what is going to go up tomorrow is a short 5 little questionnaire about what we want to try and do. And so for transparency purposes and everything, we're going to talk to you about it now for 2 seconds, put it up tomorrow, and then we'll go through the results next time Joe and I are on our live. So just 5 questions. First thing is just asking where you see us, where you see the shows, the 3bod shows, Joe's shows, all that sort of stuff. Do you watch it live? Do you catch it up? What's your favorite way of looking at it? And then, because of a problem we had today with this show, are you having difficulty finding notifications about the shows coming up? So this is part of the reason why, aside from the other stuff, why we're looking at different ways of getting the show to you. We're getting notification issues. I think the stat is there's kind of 7% of notifications are coming through to you. So it's a pain for everyone. So what we're doing is we're gonna look to set up our own platform, our own little piece of the world, where everything is in one location that you go to, you get notified and all that sort of stuff, but it's one spot outside of Facebook. Okay, we're taking Facebook off the table here, and it's new, and it's a better way of doing things and interacting with everybody. And obviously, like everything, there's small costs attached to that. We haven't got the figures yet, but we will again bring that back to the group. But yeah, it's going to be kind of between those 2 figures. It's barely a point. And it's going to be our own little space in the world where we can talk, have a bit of crack, have a bit of banter, and obviously keep it civil. Keep it grown up. And then the last thing is the big question we have for you, the most important question, really. Is there anything you would love to see us do to make everything more enjoyable for you as the audience? Because we're stuck here locked down probably for quite a while at varying levels. We want to know how much you're enjoying it and what we can do to help you enjoy it more. Obviously, Joe can't call round to your house and give you a back rub, but outside of that, we're willing to do nearly anything. Maybe she will for a small fee based on the wink he just gave everybody. But no, that's what we're trying to do. It'll take you about 17 seconds. We would appreciate your time because we know everyone's busy, but it's just to make everything a little bit more, make the meal a bit more delicious for you.
Absolutely. It's going to be a safe zone as well. And one of the big things is because people aren't seeing the posts generally on Facebook, and others will be using YouTube as well. And we we go onto our own social platform. As soon as we click, everybody who's in that special group will see everything go 100% of the time. So thank you to everybody who's contacted us and said, can we come across now? It's not set up yet, lads. We'll keep working on it. We will actually always have Facebook, and we'll be doing some lives on here, and we'll be doing some snippets of type stuff, but we need to move it on where people, the biggest thing that we're getting at the moment is people contacting us saying that they're just not seeing the shows. And again, a huge thank you, Neil, to all the admins and mods on all the forums for
absolutely everybody, yeah,
for helping us get around this. Okay, so that's what's happening, and that'll go out tomorrow morning. And if you have any questions, then come back to us, and we will move on from there. Okay, so with our guest tonight, this guy is a huge rugby fan. I met him on a rugby community, and like everybody, there are people in the world who positively stand out for lots of good reasons. And this man won't mind me telling you this story. He stood out because he'd had a bit of sort of a run-in with somebody a few months ago, and he put up an apology in the group. And actually, when you look back at it, it's like everything on two sides. He's just a real gentleman. Now, what he's doing is if you've ever seen the program Siren on the telly about mermaids and stuff like that, well, he's not a mermaid, clearly he's a merman, but he's one of the nice ones. He doesn't go and try and sort of bite your head off sort of thing, but he does do crazy things like swim 30 miles and give you a bit of a flavour before we bring him into the studio. Have a look at this.
My name's James. I'm a 38-year-old ultra-endurance swimmer based in Cornwall, training for this crazy challenge to raise as much money as I can for the UK, for UNHCR. The stretch of water between Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly, it's 30 miles long. It's roughly 8 miles longer than the English Channel. I chose that stretch of water really because of how local it is to me, and the Isles of Scilly means a lot to my wife and I. So it'd just be, not only would it be a hard challenge, but also it'd be quite a sentimental one as well. Really looking forward to this challenge. It's going to be very tough. Hopefully the money I'll raise will do some good stuff for the vulnerable people in the world. Yeah, supercharged. It's going to be a tough old challenge, swimming from Cornwall to the cities, 30 miles. But you know, however tough my challenge is, it's not going to be as tough as a life that a lot of refugees have. And you know, that's what I'm going to be thinking of when I'm in my dark moments, when I'm halfway between Land's End and the Scillies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome James Overton.
Good evening, James. Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I mean, fair play, mate. I'm going to mention this about people's attitudes on stuff. Sorry to nick some of your time there, mate, because you're staying on, so we've got all time. Got a message just saying there, when you're going to start chatting about rugby. Okay, here's the thing, lads. Okay, there are more important things. This is a rugby show, but we also talk about important things as well. And the important things is that it's the vitriolic lifestyle. Everybody is struggling with COVID-19, and we're not doing sport, we're not going to the pub, and we're not seeing our family and friends and stuff like that, and therefore it is all getting pushed online. So we'll make that message, and we'll continue making that message. And this good man here is raising money for the UNHCR, which is the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, and he swims like a fish, literally, because it's 30 miles. So there's the sort of message we're getting across. We will be having rugby as well. So if you can't hang around and look at and support what other people are doing, lads, then you know that's the way it is. But we'll continue supporting other people who are supporting other people. James Overton,
perfect.
Inspiration. No, my pleasure, mate. Tell us about yourself and where you're from and your sort of journey to rugby and how you got into this swimming malarkey.
Well, it's quite a lot to put in. First of all, thank you for giving me this platform. It's good. It's great. Rugby, I think you can't grow up in South Wales and not hold a rugby ball at some point in your young life. So you kind of get pushed into that relatively early. And so yeah, I was a high school rugby player, and then moved to Cornwall in my early 20s, and developed the interest and followed the Cornish Pirates, followed the Exeter Chiefs, and just an all-round rugby fan really. Met a local girl. She's a rugby girl anyway, so.
But she's a special rugby girl, isn't she? Why? She might be from Cornwall.
Cornish girl that follows the Irish team, yeah.
What's her name?
Janine.
Janine, great. Honestly, he's right.
Good strong Irish name, Janine. Good girl.
James, right? We've seen your video. Get off and get the girl who wants to talk about Irish rugby. Oh, good. So, when did you start doing ultra endurance swimming, mate? And and why? Is it just, why that and not running? Is swimming something goes you've done?
Okay. Started off just again at high school level, swimming in the local swim clubs, etc. And then when I moved to Cornwall, I started just the beach and the coast. It's just there, and you if you were to ever meet me, I'm not a runner. I'm just not built for it. So it was swimming only really, and just took to it.
Brilliant. So when are you doing this? So it's 30 miles, isn't it, Pete, from where you are to the Isle of Scilly's? The Scilly Isle, sorry, Isle of Scilly's.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Scilly Isles, yeah. So when are you doing that, mate? And what's the sort of time do you think it will take you to be able to do that?
I'll be doing it in September 2021. Yeah. You can't put a fixed date on it because the weather's so changeable down in those parts. The seas can get quite change instantly, time wise I've got to do it in less than 18 hours because I'll miss tides. So if I do it if as soon as it goes over 18 hours it goes to 24 hours because of the tide difference, and then I spend the next 6 hours swimming against 2 knot tide, and you simply can't do it. So yeah, it's an 18 hour
I have enough problems keeping afloat. And I can't go anywhere. I don't go swimming here. I'm about 300 meters away from the Seal Rescue Centre for Ireland, the core town. If I go swimming, there'll be people throwing fish at me and calling the Seal Rescue. So what very quickly, what sort of daily training do you have to do for this, mate, to be able to sort of get in shape for it?
Well, just consistency is key. So it's just getting in, just keeping the hours. This time of year, the water's cold. You just keep it conditioned, really. You do the big in the spring. I'll do the big swims and start building. Do a lot of dry land training, a lot of rowing machine stuff, a lot of weights, just to keep everything ticking over.
Brilliant. And why the UNHCR? Why is that then? Why did you pick them?
I started working with refugees 4 or 5 years ago. And then I found the UNHCR purely by accident on Twitter, and I saw a tweet of theirs saying this is a new project that we're trying to do, and I just contacted them and said, I'd like to help fundraise for you doing that, and here we are.
Good stuff. Well, we're proud to sort of partner and support them tonight, the UNHCR.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
UN High Commissioner for Refugees sent me some nice little video through to you today. Cool. Keego, well, we wish you all good luck with that. We've got your justgiving.com fundraising Celtic swimmer running along the background just there, and then if everybody clicks onto that, then what you'll get is you will get that there. That will take you to the Celtic Swimmers page, to James's page, and you'll be able to make a small donation to him there. And he's got a good while to go before he starts that. But please go along to justgiving.com/fundraising/Celtic swimmer and give James a bit of a hoof along there. Good stuff. Right, Keego, rugby.
Yeah, just before we move on, I was saying to James earlier on, I get tired trying to have a bath, so I don't know how you swim for 18 hours. This is just unbelievable. So fair play to you, Jeannie Mac. I don't even know how quickly I would die and sink in the sea. Probably about 20 minutes. So fair play to you finishing that up. That's going to be amazing. Everyone, obviously, donate what you can. Help. It's a great cause. And it's a real person doing a real thing as opposed to someone posing on the internet. So brilliant. I salute you, James. Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
But I reckon we'll jump into the Nations Cup because, or do we want to do Tri-Nations first? What's on the schedule?
Well, it was Tri-Nations. We can cover that very, very quickly. And I'll tell you the reason why is because, let me just pull up the Tri-Nations stats. There we go. Because it was very interesting. And I was just sort of wondering what people's thoughts were about where we are. So it finished with New Zealand winning. Again, obviously no Springboks this year. New Zealand winning, but 1-2, lost 2. Again, still, although they lost 2, only 4 tries against, 16 tries for, 64 points difference, 3 bonus points, even when they've lost 2 games. Argentina's second, great. I thought they were going to sort of pip the Wallabies the other day, but again, actually both of those lost less than New Zealand. 2 draws, 1 win, 1 loss. So, but if you look at the points deficit, minus 28 for the Pumas, and the Wallabies minus 36. Only 2 tries for, 8 against for the Pumas, only 4 tries for, and that's I think the difference that stands out to me. Although the All Blacks lost 2, they still managed to hoof on 16 tries, 3 bonus points, and had a points difference. Didn't matter. The first game I think was 45-3 against the Wallabies in the Bledisloe Cup, but that it's a bit of a. Do we take anything from these competitions? Both the competitions, the Tri-Nations, and then obviously we're going to come on to this, the Autumn Nations Cup as well. But Keego, what do you take from where we are now, coming out of COVID? You say everything online about why the Springboks aren't playing. Well, look, that's their decision. But we've had rugby back. But can you take anything from it? All Blacks got a new coaching ticket in. They've run into the Wallabies. Pumas haven't played for 13 months, and look what they did. Anything to take away?
I must say, I initially wasn't massively interested, and then after the first weekend, I was in it. Obviously, the first problem: to be the man, you got to beat the man, or to be the person, you got to beat the person, and that's not happening in that tournament. So that's unfortunate. But when you look at New Zealand and how they are always regardless of who holds the golden trophy, they're the team to aim at, and they did the yo-yo thing that they do sometimes, where they kind of don't take people seriously. And it's, with all due respect to our New Zealand brothers and sisters, there are times where they take it for granted, I feel, certainly from the outsider, maybe phrasing it wrongly. They don't take the opposition seriously enough. Now, we took advantage of that in Chicago, and that's great. But I think that happened in this tournament as well. And you see that in the return fixture. The Australian game is the one that pops in my mind. But they tasted defeat more in the last month than they have probably in the last 24. So that's a kick in the arse for them. That speeds up what they're trying to do. I think for Australia, it's great that they got 1 win over New Zealand. It's great that they tried to perform all the way through. Rugby in Australia, it's a weird thing because I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because rugby league and Aussie rules is a far more violent game.
And he's frozen
again.
Yeah, he'll come back. Your thoughts, James? Anything to take away from the?
Yeah. Sorry. As Keego was saying, I think New Zealand do fall into that trap of not respecting the opposition, and certainly Michael Checker's new approach to coaching the Pumas. They really took that and they had fire in their hearts, and I was really quite impressed and happy for the Argentines when they got that win.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's not playing for 13 months and then being able to come back. They showed a lot of spirit, into that. So I think, but again, it's early days. It's very, very early days. Keego, you're going to go log off and come back in again, mate, while we chat. Good man. Okay. I think I'll just kick him out of the studio for now. We'll come back in to kick guest. There we go. He'll come back in a minute. I think it's early days with the New Blacks new coaching ticket on as well. The All Blacks new coaching ticket on. I think it's like everything; it takes time. So I don't think there's really that much you can take away. The big standout thing for me was the Argentinians played really, really well. It was great to see the Wallabies to win a game, and I think Dave Rennie will put them in a good place. I think it's Australian rugby overall that isn't in a good place, but I think he'll build a team around that. So I think that will be good. Moving on to the Autumn Nations Cup. A bit of a, I don't know, a bit of a.
It was hard to watch as a Welshman.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think it was. Okay. Let's start with Wales. What did you take away from Wayne's sort of really first run out on what happened for you?
I think we're in quite a strange position to be able to, with COVID and etc., threw everything out. I think Welsh rugby's in a little bit of a disarray anyway. Wayne Pivac hasn't quite gelled. the way that it did under Warren Gatland. I want him to be the coach still. I still think we should just give, everyone's calling for his head, and I don't like that. Don't want to see that in rugby. I want to see our coach get a fair chance. But the one thing I will take from the last week is we are starting to see Toby Faletau coming back to his best. He's really hitting form again. A couple of other players had some standout performances. So I think I'm not happy, but I'm not particularly sad either.
It's like excuse me, it's like everything, isn't it? I mean, you lose some players and you get a new coaching sort of ticket in. I think Sean Edwards was a massive loss for you, really, to be honest.
Yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt. And whilst I always sort of take the mickey about Sir Gavin Watland a little bit, he was a quality coach. He just wasn't sort of coach for me for Lions. But I think that the squad that you had with the Sam Warburtons and people like that at the time, it was a bit like the All Blacks. You had the Richie McCaw. Now you've got Alan Wynne there, but I think Big Sam was such an inspiring player as well. I think the team itself made the Welsh team as good as it was, and I think that people like when he had great coaching ticket, and I think that Warren just managed to keep a light tiller on it. Whereas for me, I think Wayne Pivac is a great quality coach, and I think he will do really, really well with Wales. It's just going to have to take you a little bit of time to get him to be bedded in, get the plays he wants, and I think he probably has a more direct approach than maybe Warren had. So where the players were sort of doing a lot of the stuff maybe themselves, and the other coaching ticket. So like I say, Warren had a lighter tiller on it. Maybe Wayne is a little bit more hands-on, a bit more direct in the way that he's doing things. But I would watch Wales because you look at some of the players that you've got coming through and the squad. Great to see Toby back. Whether Toby will make it to the Lions test, and do you know what? I think that Wayne would be probably happy if he kept most of the players back. From a regional perspective and from a test perspective. So it's going to be an interesting one because obviously, again, Warren always has his own mind as the players that he likes, not necessarily what some other people would do. But I think Wayne would be like, lads, it's a great honour to play for the Lions. But if some didn't make it, I don't think Wayne would be too fussed. I think he'd rather be seeing quality. The regions need to sort of bolster themselves up. And and again, on that, I said 2 years ago when Dean took over, watch the Dragons. And I think the more the regions settle, I think that will pull through on the Welsh team as well. So by the time France 23 comes, you are definitely going to see a totally different Welsh team than anything else. What did you say? We'll go to the final first, and we'll Keego come back in, and we'll sort of look at the Irish bit. And Scotland, but the France and England result was the result. The competition it is. Somebody said last week online that that England are the new All Blacks of the Northern Hemisphere. Do you think England are good, or do you think that they're a bit susceptible? Their rush defence is very, very good coming up. But I think they're going to get caught out. When they get caught out, I think they're going to get a bit of a spanking. So because I don't think the 10-12 with Ford and Farrell works personally. But then I'm not a huge fan of Owen Farrell, mate.
He forgot how to kick on Saturday, didn't he? Or Sunday rather. He forgot how to kick, didn't he, for half the game?
Yeah, his head didn't seem to be fully into it. So it was quite interesting about where it was. But I think with the likes of Maravatoje and Underhill, I think there's a mainstay there. But I don't think yet England have got the. I think they have to sort out that 10-12 axis fully, and I don't think it's Ford and Farrell. I think Eddie O's in the first game against Ireland during the week Eddie was having to go publicly about Andrew Porter, You know, it was almost like he was a little bit.
He's very good at that, Eddie Jones, isn't he? He's always good at starting a little something in an interview and saying something he probably shouldn't have done. Because there's nothing wrong with Andrew Porter scrummaging. In fact, he's a very good scrummager, but he's just very good at just being sensationalist. And he himself is starting to grind me down a bit. He does wear me down. I don't like his approach to coaching at all. No. But it doesn't mean he's not a good coach. It's just his style's not my style.
I think on that, you know, it was during the game. You know, you had the English prop who was sort of constantly saying to the referee about Porter, and it was almost like it was that continuation of Eddie been in the papers and said about sort of Porter's scrummaging, and then he said, "Oh, continue, you know, say to the referee, say to," and the ref wasn't having any of it, and I think it just tracks. I hate to see players on the pitch that angry little scrum halves doing it, screaming, just get on with the game. If the ref spots something, hopefully, you know, or the TMO, or the assistant referees, then they'll pull something. But yeah, I don't think England are the finished article at all. I don't think they are as good as some people are making them out to be. But they've got more players by numbers. You know, the strength and depth that they've got to call on is absolutely phenomenal amount.
Yeah, huge.
But I don't understand his style of play sometimes. I think if they lost Maro Itoje, God forbid, because he has just for me become the all-round player. I think he is probably the best lock in the world.
I'd go and say, actually, yeah, if not one of the best players, he's up there, isn't he? He's phenomenal.
He's just come on totally, and his rush defense. A couple of years ago, he was giving away an awful lot of penalties. About 18 months, 2 years ago, he was giving away an awful lot of penalties, and we'd lost. They'd lost a lot on that, but his ability to get over the ball, his rush defense, his ability to get over the ball, you know, his turnovers absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you cannot afford to allow a player to go in. Ireland found it. You cannot afford, you know, Chris Fallon, 73rd minute against them, went you know, into the 5 meters, and Maro was the first person in. He's just so quick and so fast. Underhill is absolutely superb as well. But I just don't see that as a full team. Now, when you look at France is what? B team, C team turned out because of the sort of politics they had, and we understand that. You know, they have to find a happy medium. It's difficult times. But a bit like the Argentinians, a bit like the Pumas in the Southern Hemisphere, you know, the French lads took their opportunities, and I thought that they were very, very good value for the money.
Yes.
Now, 18 months ago, they started building, and they started putting a lot of the youngsters in. I mean, I think Dupont and Ntamak are absolutely superb.
Yeah.
And for me, they would be the team to watch leading up to 23. What are your thoughts?
Exactly that. It's just the young age. The average age of the national French team is so much younger than the international average. I just think, yeah, as you say, you know, there's 10 years left in half the lads you saw on Saturday, and then you've got guys coming through as well. So it's very exciting times, and it's very worrying to be on a pitch, I think, against the French over the next couple of years. But
and on that, we'll bring breaking the internet. Keego.
This is hurting me. I'm frightened to move.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's you, mate, tonight. Absolutely, for everybody that Catherine Beecher, good evening to you. I'd watch Bruce Doolin. Yeah, very, very, very good player. Joe Lyons, just going back to my point there on no one likes 9 Joes. No, an horrible little annoying flies. Bless them. Their mothers love them. God bless them. Fly off, don't they? Very good. Joe Lyons again. It's a very fine line and balancing act that just going back onto the Wales thing there, Neil, when you were off. Balancing that for Wayne Pivac at Wales. Yeah, he has his hands on a lot of old sort of end of career big names and some very young players. Not easy to remove some of the players. Ireland have got this. Keego will bring on to in a minute, and I think he's suffering from public favour and picking the right players for 2023. Not easy. Kevich says that France has an amazing potential. If that was the third string team, second, third string team, they're very, very good. So we started just talking a little bit about Wales, and we sort of moved on, Neil, to sort of England and France. But what are your thoughts on those three, on where they're at?
Yeah, France are just. I keep saying it, but I think we said it nearly 2 years ago that they were almost taking a wash on a season to blood new players for 2023. We thought Scotland were doing the same thing. Suddenly they've got their act together again. But I think France over the weekend, them losing that, I think will galvanize them a bit more than if they were to win. I don't know if you guys have completely disproven that theory, but while I was away, but I just feel that kind of French, you could see how they dealt with it afterwards. They were very upset, and they understand that, you've got to be the man, you got to beat the man. And at the moment, England in this part of the world are very consistent. They're not playing sexy rugby, but it's getting results. You know what they're going to do, and they always execute better than you expect. And France stayed with them. Look, sport is sport. You're gonna get calls like you get, but France were right there. So we're now at the point where England, anytime they see a blue jersey, won't be salivating.
No. He's gone again. Oh dear, he's gone again.
He's going to just.
You've got to agree with him, no. You've got to agree with that.
Just when he's on the cusp of something, really, he's back. Just when he's on the cusp of something just profound, and it's like we like to tell stories on the show. It's a bit like the Grimm brothers, only we're a lot grimmer. There we go. Here you go. We'll try and break up the atmosphere of Keego sort of dopping in and out on. Why does Keego give us an answer to this? Why does Father Christmas cry so much at this time of year? Because he feels very sentimental. There we go. Right, Keego, are you with us? I mean, if that doesn't sort of break the internet,
I don't know. I think I am. I'm moving on my screen, but I don't think I'm moving on anybody else's.
Yeah, you are. You're there. Okay. So, England. Do you think, very quickly before we move on to sort of Scotland and Ireland, England? Do you think they are as good as people are saying, or do you think they've got some real class players, but it's not a good team effort?
Look, you can't argue with the results. That's it. They've taken the best that everyone's thrown at them with relative ease. Up and
I tell you what, he's got brand new state of the art broadband in up there in Bray. He's going to be on the phone tomorrow to Mr. Branson, going, "Hey, you." Okay, well, let's. He's going again. All right, okay. Let's talk about Scotland. Yeah, so Keego touched on it there. They started sort of a couple of years ago building. I'm not sure that they have got some of the people in the key positions. They've had Adam Hastings and all the changes in at their 10. Scotland always seem to sort of show elements of something really, really good. But it doesn't build that consistency for me, James. They just seem to sort of lack. I'll try and buy them back in again. Keego, welcome to Keego. You're on your phone.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. You all sound like robots. The world is conspiring. I've never sounded so intelligent, and the world is missing this. Let me see how. I've got to watch my language here. This is a family show.
You're good.
Wait.
Yeah.
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Everybody good?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Talk to us about Scotland.
Well, they were on a roll, and then they kind of they didn't really have much after the 20 minutes. They got strangled over the weekend, which was great if you're wearing a green jersey. Slightly worrying if you're wearing a blue jersey. I think they didn't have a huge amount of answers. We didn't do a huge amount, but we were very consistent. The best start of the day was 22 missed tackles all day, 17 of those in the first half. So you kind of go, well, something happened after the first 20, 25 minutes to rattle Scotland and to galvanise Ireland. I was happy with kind of 50 minutes of that game with the green jersey on. If I put my blue jersey on or a blue jersey on, I would be a little bit worried because, you know, as much as I love to think Ireland are the greatest team in the world, we've a long way to go. And I think that Scotland team would have fancied that over the weekend. And they, in reality, they weren't close once we got moving. So again, a little bit of a step back for Scotland after coming back towards the end of this year. Again, great coach, good squad. And I think they'll be fine. They just need to get that a bit of consistency.
Yeah, I think they need to settle down on their 10 and what they're doing there. Obviously, sort of Finn is sort of back in the fold now again. Superb player, but you know, obviously having Adam Hastings in, and then you fell at the weekend as well. So, I think it's that consistency, James, isn't it? That you would want from all teams, but Scotland. It's almost like France a couple of years ago before they started bringing the youngsters in. It's that really good stuff, and then it just
there's nothing in between with Scotland. They'll either play fantastically or they'll look like they've never seen a rugby ball in their lives. You do get that. You do get that contrast with the Scottish. And my big thing with Scotland, I love Stuart Hogg. I'm an Exeter Chiefs fan. He's a fantastic fullback. I do not like fullbacks as captain. I don't think that particularly works. Certainly against Ireland, you want a guy in the front, tight five, being a captain, especially if you're playing Ireland. You can't have your fullback pulling the strings, telling the big boys what to do, 80, 90 meters up the pitch. I just don't think that works.
Yeah, that's
what about you, fellas?
Yeah, I wouldn't give the captaincy to a back in my life, mate.
Well, the theory of the fullback is a good idea. Like, the theory is he sees the game. You know what I mean? But the problem is he doesn't see the game.
No.
So you know, you kind of. I think people like himself. I think they're better without that added. They're already a leader. They're already there. They don't need that extra pressure. And if you were to bring someone in the pack into that leadership role, you've basically got a leader on two sides of the pitch. You know what I mean? That's the thing with Ireland giving Sexton the captaincy. You kind of go, you understand the reasoning, but the logic maybe can change a wee bit. You know what I mean? And you know, I do think taking the captaincy off someone who is already a leader is always a good idea. More leaders on the pitch.
Yeah, if you look at the All Blacks as well, the whole thing about Richie Mo'unga at 10 and Beauden Barrett, they're both world-class 10s. Mm. Why was Beauden put at 15? Because I think he can play at 10 or 15. Richie's a great 10, a world-class 10, but Beauden's a world-class fullback and a 10. And I think that when you fullback who has that vision, who can run, who has played 10 as well, and understands that's just gold dust for me to be able to see. So I agree.
Mo'unga's just incredible. I love watching Mo'unga play. Yeah, when he has a good game, he has fun. Do you know what I mean? And it's and players bounce off him.
Well, it's very interesting. We had Finn Russell on with Adam Ash from Pure Sport CBD. Adam obviously just gone to the LA Giltinis, former Glasgow Warriors in Scotland, and 2 weeks ago. And one of the things that Finn came over with was, in France, they go out and they're allowed to have fun and play and enjoy themselves. And I think sometimes there's a lot of pressure put on some of the other sides, some of the Northern Hemisphere sides, either whether the coach has lost a couple of games, aka Andy Farrell or Wayne Pivac, and sort of like, you know, they'll put something together because they need to get a win, you know, and I think there's that bit of pressure on, whereas France have gone, Jesus, lads, you know, go out and play, a bit like they do in the Southern Hemisphere. Go out and play, enjoy yourself a little bit more. And I think sometimes that if you allow players to go out and just play and enjoy it, they're going to give it better. It's going to become more natural. One of the goes back to what we said at the beginning of the show, lads. I don't see as much Southern Hemisphere vitriolic attacks on players and stuff as I do in the Northern Hemisphere. And maybe that's another really important point as well, where the players get supported, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, could I just jump in there
Yeah.
real quick? The first time I noticed it from New Zealand was after that first Argentina game. And you kind of, it was a day where everything popped up. Facebook is like, sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And I just saw a lot in that following kind of 4 or 5 days from New Zealand supporters who were going way overboard, completely overboard, asking for new coaching tickets, burning the whole thing down. And then it kind of kicked on from there, because I always felt that New Zealand were experienced enough in terms of their supporter base to stay calm and understand what's going on. And that was the first time where I kind of saw, again, without going into it again, maybe lockdown is affecting. Well, there wasn't a lockdown over there, so they were just going over the top. And you see some of their pundits, I know some of them are employed to be cantankerous. That's a triple score in Scrabble there, by the way. I know other big words. Other big words like delicatessen, that's another one. But anyway, they kind of, all these commentators were doing their grumpy thing. And for the first time, I noticed the New Zealand support doing the same thing. So it is a worrying thing that's sweeping around. Even Eddie Jones is getting a bit of grief, and they kind of won everything ahead of them. So you can't, I think people are just going a bit too far in general,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we got to go on to the European stuff as well, lads. But a quick talk there about it was a shame not to see Fiji playing more, and great to see them back at the weekend and at least get the game out. And Italy and Georgia as well. I would like to have. It was just a shame that we didn't see all of the games, but Georgia. Let's talk very, very briefly before we go into the Europeans for the last sort of 15 minutes on Georgia. James, your thoughts on Georgia and whether we should have the second division with promotion and relegation on. I think it's only going to help Georgia the more they play Tier 1 opposition, because I thought that
Absolutely. I actually quite like the format of the autumns. It was basically the Six Nations plus Fiji and Georgia. Now, if we can have that all year round, giving Fiji the platform, giving Georgia the platform, as you say, they're only going to get better, and that's only going to be good for World Rugby. So yeah, I'd happily welcome them to the fold. I've always liked Georgians play. They play with smiles on their faces.
Exactly, and I think you can play at a certain level all the time, but you're going to get pulled up to a level, because again, it's a bit like Italy. The results don't always belie how well a team have played. And
absolutely. How many times have we seen Italy? Sergio Prise used to get man of the match on a scrum going backwards. The guy was incredible. He carried that. The Italians played with so much passion, and you'd see a scoreline. Even the Italian-Wales scoreline on the weekend was 31-18, I believe. Doesn't reflect the game. The Italians are far better than that 18 points, and Wales were nowhere near as good as the 31. The Italians really are. And I want to see the Georgians do that as well.
Yeah, sorry, buddy, interrupting you. Shane Smith just saying that the Georgia 30 was excellent. I think they had the Georgia pack is very, very strong. And Eddie Jones brought the Georgian pack in to train against England before the last World Cup. Why? Because they are one of the strongest packs. In fact, they I think in the World Cup they were only second to South Africa for the most penalties won at scrums. Well, that tells you something, doesn't it? And like I say, Shane just saying the Georgia centre there, outstanding. They had some really, really good players. So I think I think there's a chance now. And I think there'll be a lot of people looking at these autumn internationals in future to having some sort of competition where you've got these teams bolted on more. Daniel Leo, the former Pacific Islands player, who's now the Global Welfare Officer for the Pacific Regional Players, not only is there a fantastic film out on the Pacific Islands and rugby, go and watch that. Also, that there is talk about a Pacific Islands Six Nations type of thing happening. So I think there's these times now where it is changing, where the whole local, then local, regional, then global thing. I think it's good. Great to have Fiji in that 8 competition. I would like to see that Autumn Nations Cup continue. All I want this year, I'm going to Ireland very briefly before we go into the Europe one, Neil. All I wanted to see was good, bad, and indifferent. I wasn't bothered about the results for any team, especially Ireland. I wanted to see who we played, i.e., what players we played, what tactics we played, what game management and stuff. And unfortunately for me, we've come away, and I've got more questions than I've got answers from an Ireland perspective. But I've also picked up some really useful thing about the other teams as well. But finish us off on Ireland, mate, before we go into the 3 European games that we're going to chat about.
Yeah, I'll try and be quick here. You know, we kind of went in not knowing what we wanted to do, finishing off the Six Nations. A lot of money at stake, which affects selection. That takes kind of the freedom away when you need that cash. So that's why you saw the selection at the end of the Six Nations. They're going into the autumn series. We all kind of hoped there'll be, when we say more experimentation, if you look at the amount of players with 15 or less caps in that squad, there's a massive amount of them, which is exactly what we wanted. Now we go into how we played. Okay, it wasn't pretty. A bit like myself, not very pretty, but you get the job done. And I think finishing the way we finished against the Scotland side, who fancied that scalp, who fancied taking us apart in the Aviva, and they didn't get close. I think that's a positive way to finish. I think if you look at the job Porter has done, if you look at the job Keenan has done, even when Farrell has come on, he's been really, really good. And there are still a massive amount of players to come back. It was not pretty. There were only very brief glimpses of slight changes and updates. I think part of that is, and I think part of our problems misfiring in the England 22 was the lads just look confused. You know what I mean? And there's no excuse for that. There's absolutely no excuse for that. But they're in between systems. You're going from a guy who wrote everything down, you couldn't tie your shoelaces without instructions, to maybe play a little bit like you see it, but we also need a win because social media and the media are a bit rotten over the last few months. We need to get them on side, which they did in the end. But, you know, I've kind of, we're not urinating on our own feet, but we're not setting the world on fire. So it's somewhere in between there.
Yeah, just Shane Smith put this one up. Ryan Neal's, I think James Ryan needs to nail down a role. He's better in every ruck, making every tackle, and he's just not specialising. Don't think himself, James Ryan and Henderson can play together because they both want to do the same thing. If he's to be a tie head support and lock, he needs to bulk up a little bit. Personally, think he'd be better off as a loose headlock and playing the likes of Rue or Billy beside him to do the donkey work. He doesn't think Shane doesn't think that James Gibson Park is the answer at 9. Disagree with that. And Ben isn't a 10. He is, but he's not the thinking 10 that maybe that we need moving forward. Sexton Murray's still superior. Totally disagree with that, mate. But I think the Six Nations, partnership, I think he's going to want to flourish with that. Very quickly then, mate, Neil, just on the 9-10. It isn't Johnny again. That right thigh, why he was playing the other day is beyond me. Because we've got Montpellier, which I know you're going to come on to in a second this weekend. What is the 9-10 solution? In fact, what's the solution for us?
Yeah, it's a tricky one because, when you look at, Carberry snapped his ankle up before the World Cup. You've got Byrne, the younger Byrne, who looks to be great. And Ross Byrne hasn't had, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all in the green jersey. You know what I mean? He hasn't had a shot to show his stuff. And who was I listening to the other day? It's tricky to go from a team who dominates everything to a team that may be going backwards, to navigate its way out of that. And again, I don't know if it was instructions, because when Burns came on, who is going to be class, he played like a 50 capper. When he came on, one of the first things he did was try and chip over that England line. So I don't know if it was instructions or if it was vision. But that's a great sign. Now, the fact that Burns is in brings up the competition, and that's positive, and that's it for me. Well,
what about everybody knows my views on James and Gibson Park? And if you want to listen to somebody who doesn't really like scrum offs, and go listen to Harping on Rugby's interview with myself and Jeff Pagano a few weeks ago, when I was forced to talk about scrum offs because we did all the research actually, and I was talking about James and Gibson Park. But there we go. But here's an idea. John Cooney. Burn Shep, Burn in Hell, John Cooney and Captain Darling, aka Mr. Burns, at 9 and 10. Now there's two guys who play together regularly who would probably be in sync. And that's something that I would love to see now, because we know how some of the others play. I think it is about putting forward towards France 23. So I want to see Cooney and Ben.
Yeah, Cooney's got to perform. Cooney's got to perform against Toulouse. He's got to step. You know, they didn't play him in the Pro 14 final. So I think once you do that, it's hard to come back. So if he starts performing in Europe, they can't. There's no reason to turn him down.
No, I mean, he's still. I don't know why he wasn't playing the final, but he still has been the most consistent player for me in Ireland in the last 2 years, apart from Ty Furlong. But then he would be because he's a prop. On that, European James Overton, start us off on your choice to talk about briefly is for this coming weekend. Sorry, just before you do, Neil, explain to everybody quickly how this year's EPCR European Champions and Challenge Cup is going to work.
I don't know if I'm going to go into an internet tunnel here and get cut off while trying to explain this. So there's more teams this year. It's kind of business, four games, business as usual, basically up until the quarterfinal stage, I think, where there's almost a merging of competitions for the finish of the tournament. Have I picked that up right? I've got ordinary level brackets.
Yeah. There is effectively there's 4 games in each of the competitions, so each team will play 2 home and 2 away. A whole pile of seeding systems and rubbish that I just sort of lost the will to live on this afternoon. But basically, the top 8 from each of the Challenge Cup and the top 8 from the Championship then go into their preliminary games. Okay, so 2 home, 2 away in 2 pools. In fact, I'm just going to stick you up one quick example because most people haven't even realised that it's changed this year. So there we go. Yeah, if I just put that on full there, Neil, then I can scroll down. So
yeah, because I started reading this and then I just fell asleep. So
there you go. You've got Pool A and you've got Pool B. So you've got 12 teams, and it's the same for the Challenge Cups as well. And they were all sort of drawn by seedings, blah, 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 blah. So although there's 12 teams in Pool A and 12 in Pool B, you play 4 games, 2 homes and 2 away, and there's a whole variance of who you're playing, and that was all explained. But again, I lost the will to live a little bit. But the bottom line is for the top 4 from Pool A, and that's why you've got a line there, and the top 4 from Pool B, and the same with the Challenge Cup, go through to the round of 16. And then there's a whole pile of other things. So let's go through that. So that's very briefly how it's working this year, which is a strange old malarkey. But look, a bit of a COVID, different things, and I'm sure we might lose a team because they can't play a game or something like that. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. But so that's how it's going to work in the preliminary games: 4 games, 2 homes, 2 away. And then basically the top 8 go through from each of the cups. James, you have picked Glasgow Warriors and Exeter Chiefs. Another great game again. Tell us about that. Why do you think that's going to be stand out?
There's a couple of games that I could have chosen really, but then this year is Exeter's defence of the European Cup. So I do think that's going to be them putting down the marker straight away, and say and that's what you've got to do. Go if They've been in 5 Premiership finals in 5 years. It was only in the final year that they made any mark at all in Europe, and that's a long time dominating your own league and not doing anything anything further. So I think this is going to be them putting down the marker, saying we mean business again this year, and I think they're really going to give it to Glasgow. Plus the fact is Hoggy's the team, isn't it? It's Hoggy's former team, so it's going to be good.
And what's your prediction, mate?
Oh, I don't know. It's Exeter. This could be 21-18, or it could be 30-15. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Exeter to win, but I don't know how comfortable it will be.
Okay, Keego.
I do think they're going to go for it.
They've had a good start to the season so far. Obviously, we had the lads on last week, and in fact, we had Stino and Neiman on the Ulster show as well, and they've continued going where they left off, and it's a phenomenal success they've had the journey. Neil Keegan.
Yeah, they're good. It's nice for England to have a good team, a good guy team, you know what I mean, and likable team, and Exeter are they've been brilliant for a long time, and they're finally at the top table. They're going to be tough to beat. Glasgow, going by their supporters form, are going to struggle for a while. So I think Exeter are going to do a fairly decent number on them this weekend.
Okay, so Exeter. I think Exeter will. I think it'll be a comfortable win personally.
Yeah.
That's. I just think that the style they're playing and the way they've started the season, and again, like sort of talking to lads over the last couple of weeks, I just think it's. I just think that they have just got that building up. So I think it's going to be a comfortable win for Exeter. So Neil Keegan, I'm assuming you're picking Leinster and Montpellier.
Yeah, even though in an attempt to extend an olive branch, I am wearing my Munster hoodie. I am picking Leinster. It's not a Munster hoodie. Don't be spreading those rumors. But no, it's Leinster Montpellier. So the big thing is you've already got the guys from the squad, from the Ireland squad, saying they want to play. Couple of worries. We were talking about Furlong earlier on. I'm getting a whiff of the heat slip about him in terms of the injury. Very worrying. Hopefully. That's able to be navigated, but the great thing is the squad is going to be there. You've got Porter, who has more petrol in the tank than my Nissan out the front garden. You've got Sexton, who just wants to play. He still wants. Joe Lyons thinks it's not a real Munster hoodie. Jesus. But the key here is getting this competition off. There's a lot of ghosts to get rid of, and again, I know with South Africa not being in the Tri-Nations, there's a bit of a whiff of not having the Saracens in there, but we need to hit the ground running. But things like the conundrum now is you've got Sexton, Byrne, you've got McGrath, you've got JGP. You got Frawley, who has to get in there. Just like the selection headache is back for Stuart and Leo. Montpellier, they're 3 out of 5 win streak, and I think they're never going to be easy. But I don't see them turning us over. For Leinster fans, we can't get used to these wins. We have to just keep supporting the team. I do see us winning this weekend.
Interesting. The languishing down in equal, with 10th, 11th place in the top 14, Montpellier, not having that good a run at all. The standout game for one of the standout games for me, I think that I'm really looking forward to is Ulster and Toulouse.
Yeah.
Because Toulouse are second, I think they're second in the French top 14, and they've had they've 33 points, 2 points behind Stade Rochelaise, but they've got 2 games in hand. So I think that's going to be a very interesting game. Ulster completely on a roll. Ulster, Munster, and Leinster completely on a roll. Actually, while Leinster are going great, you'd have to say that Munster and Ulster are a bit more dynamic for me. Because there's 3 teams standing out really in the Pro 14 at the moment, and I think Munster have been very, very dynamic, and they still got players to come back as well. How each of the professionals, how each of the internationals inculcate themselves back in, I think will be. We've seen it before with Leinster, haven't we? Where sometimes some of the internationals will come back, and actually it's knocked us out of kilter a little bit. So it'll be interesting for Munster and for Ulster, but both of those teams are going very, very well. So obviously I'm looking forward to a number of the games this weekend, Leinster and Montpellier, obviously, but I'm really interested on Friday night at 8 p.m. at Kingspan, Ravenhill, at 8 p.m. UK and Ireland time, Ulster versus Toulouse. I think the other good one this on Saturday in the Champions Cup there would be Bristol Bears and Clermont Auvergne. So I think that's they're the ones.
Such talent.
Yeah.
He won the Pro 14 with Connaught, and now look what he's doing with Bristol. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. I would really like to see him as an island coaching setup in the future. I just think he's a really, really gifted. He was a gifted player, and I just think what he did with Connaught was amazing. What he's done with Bristol is absolutely phenomenal. Catherine is saying, yeah, Munster 7 from 7. It's
I was going to say, lads, just very quickly on the Munster thing, a lot of their wins, they've kind of reached down into that stand up and fight well to come back, which is great to see. But also, you can't do that every week. So, you know, it's great to see that they have that Leroy D. Sorry, James, that's testicles in Irish. You can take that home. But they're showing that this year, which is great. The problem is if they use it all up, you know, early, fighting the double entendre here. If they use it all up too early, you know, they won't have it when they need it. So I think if they're going to win, they need to start winning with a performance as opposed to that guts. You know what I mean? As opposed to that kind of reach down, because you can't do that every week.
Absolutely. I'm just going to share the screen again, lads. Actually, you're 2 minutes and.
Can I just add something?
Yes,
with regards to the Lions tour coming up in next year.
Yeah.
Rather not players putting themselves forward for the Lions, but a certain South African for Ulster. Marcel Coetzee. What's the chances of him getting the 8 shirt back? I mean, he's been incredible. Marcel Coetzee has been the standout player for Ulster for a couple of seasons now, and he's just
very good, actually. I mean,
best.
We've that's a good point. There was talk about him being sort of poached back to South Africa, but apparently our Ulster lads are telling us that he has got a contract up to 23, so it doesn't look like he'll go anywhere. But he has been an absolute powerhouse in the 8. So I don't think we'll see him in the Lions. Actually, I think he'll be. I think it's one of those things that on the Lions Springbok tour next year. I think he's firmly entrenched and he'll be happy staying with. I'd be surprised if he gets pulled back for the Boks, to be honest. But he is some quality player, and he has been an absolute quality player, hasn't he? Right, listening very quickly, just sort of shared up the round 1 games Friday in the Challenge Cup. Stade Francais against Benetton. You've got to sort of pretty much say that you'd be looking Stade Francais a 5th at the moment, sort of going reasonably well. And looking at where Benetton have been, I think they put up a spirited fight, but I think it could be Stade. Leicester Tigers and Brive, that was your other game you were going to look at, James?
Yeah, just Leicester Tigers. Just something's not right there, is there? So I think I was just going to. If I had the opportunity, I was just going to touch on a little bit of problems that they've been having in recent seasons. I think you've got to give it to Brive, haven't you?
Yeah, okay. Who else we got? We got Newcastle Falcons and Cardiff. And then Saturday, Zebre are home to Bayonne. Argent are home to London Irish. That'll be an interesting one, I think. London Irish on the road. Pau and Worcester Warriors. I have to fancy Worcester for that. And Ospreys against Castres Olympique. There we go for that one there. So there's all to... let me just stop the screen. All that. There we go. There's an awful lot to play for. A quick canter through tonight, lads. On the poll, which will go out tomorrow, and thank you to I know Keego's been sort of fending off most of these sort of questions. People have been pretty much inundated about when we're going to be starting the new platform and stuff like that. It will, by this time next year, we will have sort of morphed ourselves onto that. We will always be using Facebook. There will be still Facebook Lives. As you know, between now and sort of the new year, we're going to be closing down some of the other pages because Facebook just isn't sharing the stuff to people. So we're going back to the 3 Blokes of Ball and Bod, or the 3 Bod Rugby Group, as it's going to become. And all of the live shows will have their own branding. So the Welsh Rugby Roundup Show, Ulster Rugby Roundup Show, Springbok and South African Rugby Roundup Show, Leinster Rugby Roundup Show, Keego Big Joe, 3 Blokes, and all the other ones as well will be going out through the. And we'll continue that going. YouTube channel is up and running now as well, and we will morph ourselves onto our own safe zone global family unit on another platform by this time next year. So tonight we want people to be nice. We don't want to see any more of the Andrew Brace malarkey or the Jacob Stockdale or anybody else. Or anybody else. And Mike Ross, the great Mike Ross, who's a good friend of the show, has been on a number of times. Last year, he put a great, was it earlier this year, he put a great piece out about people who abuse players and officials and coaches and stuff online. It's okay having an opinion, but it's not when it becomes an abusive opinion.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
Everybody else as well. So we covered that side. We covered the poll, which will go tomorrow, and thank you, Keego, for doing all that. We sort of quick canter through on the Tri Nations, a quick canter through on the Autumn Nations Cup, and we had a sort of look forward to the rugby this weekend in the EPCR. The abridged, the changed, the all new version. Yet again another version of the EPCR Euro Hino type cup challenge and Champions Cup, and of course we had the pleasure of having the great James Overton on. So
thank you. And I've had donations. Donations have been pinging up throughout the show. So thank you to the people who have donated.
There we go. We're just going to put that back up again. So please go to justgiving.com/fundraising/Celtic Swimmer and support James Overton, who is raising money for the UN High Commissioner for Refugees and for the UK branch, which is now set up now, which is doing an absolutely fab job. And thank you for them for what they've done and having worked with them closely in places like Iraq and Bosnia and places like that in the past. Myself personally, I know just what a fab job they do in very, very, very difficult circumstances. So, Keego, leave us with some final thoughts and wisdom before you dot off.
Yeah, look, if anyone is in a car tomorrow, make a note of what 30 miles is. James is going to swim that. This is insane. So great that everyone's getting involved. James, I salute you. This is amazing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and to everybody watching, everybody listening, everybody, whenever you catch this up, let's just be nice to each other. Lockdown is tough. Life is tough. Let's not take it out on strangers. Let's not take it out on anybody. Let's just try and get a bit of fresh air. Try and be positive. Try and be happy, okay? Because we're stuck here for a while. Let's just get used to it. Let's put some slippers on and some furry underwear and enjoy all the shows that Joe puts on.
Brilliant.
Very much as ever. Stay safe, as Keego and James said. Tomorrow we will, because the way Facebook is working, tomorrow morning now we will re-stick out under the "in case you missed it" banner again, and we'll share it back out to all of the forums again. If you come across it, please then share it on or make a comment on it so that people are getting to see it. We can't do these shows without you. We don't have everything right. That's why we're putting the poll out. That's why we're trying to constantly improve what we do, but engagement with yourselves and having great people like James on, who is not only raising money for a great cause, is a crazy guy, crazy guy, but is married to a beautiful woman who, whilst Cornish, is an Irish rugby supporter, and therefore
she's a Leinster fan as well, mate.
Oh, you're punching above your weight there.
Thank you to everybody. James, thank you, mate. In all seriousness,
thank you very much indeed.
Look after yourselves, mate, and the family.
Will do.
You'll catch up with some other guys. Stay in the studio. We're just going to sort of close down until next week. More shows coming up. Tomorrow night we have got the New England Free Jacks at 7 p.m. That's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we've got the great Don Stanford on. I'm producing that tomorrow. So that'll be episode 2 of that one. And then we've got Wednesday or Thursday this week, we have got Grayson Hart, former Scotland International, who is co-founder of Pure Sport CBD. And he's got another fab guest on their Live and Living series. And then Thursday at 6 p.m., 8 p.m. in South Africa, we've got Andy Daniel, who is back with the Driebokke of all, and Blitzbod, the South African and Springbok Rugby on the show. Until then, I've been Big Joe Shep. He's been some bloke called Keego. We can't say his full name anymore because of his legal people, but he's managed to stay with us at the end of the show. And the great James Overton. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Look after yourself. See you soon.
Thank you.